And Under the Influence, you write about California's impact on the rest of the country. And I know from your background acting and in Hollywood and living in California, you have a lot of understanding of the state. Can you tell me about your personal experience and sort of what inspired you to write Under the Influence?
I think I've been trying to make sense of my personal experience for a lot of my life. Ended up at San Francisco State, and like the height of hippiedom and that whole psychedelic mythology, and ended up in rock and roll myself, from that into television comedy, of all things. Just very caught, I think, in the whole ebb and flow of what goes on in California. But it wasn't until I left the state for graduate school that it really came to me, because I don't think you can see California from within California as well. And I asked this little boy at church what he wanted to be when he grew up. He said he wanted to be a missionary to Mars or California. And I thought, oh yeah, I get it. I came to this sort of understanding that there was a hyper dimension of not the actual state, but the state of mind that I call Californiaism. It's a sort of a fabricated, again, heightened way of doing every common ritual you can think of. Marriages, funerals, the whole basis of relationships in the first place, the way we do history, the way definitely that we do religion, the way that we, the celebrity culture, and the way that we do transportation, and all of that ultimately has a sort of a intoxicating effect, so that we kind of get drunk on these practices in a way, and anesthetized by them to our real experience, and to the experience definitely of our real neighbors.
At least a couple of the things you mentioned, celebrity culture and transportation, are things we get a particularly bad reputation for.
Right.
What's redeeming about those elements in California?
Well, I mean, I think the impulse itself comes out of an ancient kind of longing. In the case of transportation, the longing was for freedom, and and it's sort of the penultimate expression, I think, of what the entire American drive has always been about. Let's just keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. No matter what, let's keep going. The great irony is that you go from that dream to this, which turned out to sort of be a hallucination, to this terrible trap where we're all sitting on the freeway, having said goodbye to all our freedom, and just sort of entombed in these automobiles, where we don't even feel like we're living life. And again, there's so much more to escape, even as we sit in the device of our own escape making. We have an innate need to devote ourselves to something larger than ourselves, and we have found it, or it has been manufactured for us, in the culture of celebrity. And I think reality television is beginning to serve this odd function of creating a fake neighborhood with fake friends and fake people that we root for and so on. The interesting dimension is that they're also real. Movie stars themselves, when they're mediated, take on this godlike, literally larger than life presence on the movie screen. But we're always seeking them out, and we call our magazines People and Us, because we're telling ourselves these are, after all, people like us. And so we ultimately have the possibility of being sort of worshipped ourselves, or at the very least noticed.
So is Californianism something we need to cure, and is the cure within the state itself?
I think the cure is within the state itself. And yes, I think the metaphor I use in the book is we need to sleep it off. We need to come to and just realize we've been on on a binge, at least off and on, throughout the history of the state. This is not anything new. I mean, if you go back and look at early boosterism and so on, the most famous woman in California never actually lived. That was Ramona. And, people came here looking for a fictional character because from the beginning, the state offered all this wild mythological dimension. Other states are named after real people or real places, right? The Indians, Dakotas, or a place like New York, New Jersey, real places. We're named after the goddess Califia, or Califia. Mm-hmm. And I think that sort of says it all, you know what I mean? That this is something we have to resist in a way that maybe other places don't. Because, again, we do manufacture the culture of a great deal of the world. And I think we can be great at that, and I think we can be really bad at that. I think there's also this longing to be deluded, to live in an alternate reality. And so I think what we have to ask ourselves is, what's so wrong with our real lives that we have to sort of stay drunk on this other thing?